I never imagined a name could sound like a summons, until hers carved itself into my mind. Elisara. Just the thought of it made the air feel heavier, denser, as if the very atmosphere of the palace was waiting for me to act. It had been 3 cycles since I first laid eyes on the alien Empress, ruler of the Cerulean Dominion. Yet every encounter since then had left me both terrified and fascinated. And tonight, the line between fear and desire blurred irreversibly. I had been summoned, not through official channels, not through emissaries or holographic messages, but in a whisper that came to me in the stillness of my quarters, in the quiet hum of the Interstellar Starliner, where I served as a navigator and cultural envoy. The whisper was impossible to ignore. Her voice, a melody threaded with danger, seduction, and unspoken command, called me by my human name, Eric. It had started the moment I had accidentally trespassed into her private gardens during my first diplomatic mission. The vast expanse of her world, Cyrillus 9, was unlike any I had seen. The floor shimmered with bioluminescence, as if the planet itself exhaled light. The air carried scents that felt almost edible, like crystallized honey and a rare spice I had no name for. And there she had been, Elisara, towering and ethereal, with eyes that seemed to bore into the marrow of my bones. Her presence was overwhelming, suffocating in the most exquisite way. I had stumbled backward in shock, only to hear her soft laughter ripple through the luminous fog. "Do not be afraid, human," she had said, and in that moment fear and fascination fused. There was no malice in her words, but an absolute certainty of power, of ownership. I had bowed instinctively, knowing my fate was already entwined with hers. Since then, our encounters had been brief yet profoundly unsettling. A glance from her could halt my pulse. A tilt of her head, a single word whispered across a council chamber, and the world around me shifted. And now, that whisper had returned, not in the open, not in the guise of diplomacy, but in private. She wanted me, and she wanted me tonight. I navigated palace corridors with the precision of a man used to danger, though nothing in my military training had prepared me for the treacherous allure of Elisara's domain. The corridors themselves were alive, lined with fluid-like alloy that seemed to respond to the presence of sentient beings, changing colors subtly, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. The air vibrated faintly with her energy, as though the palace itself breathed with her anticipation. At the threshold of her forbidden chamber, I paused. No human or Cerulean subject, for that matter, had entered this sanctum without invitation in a century. Legend spoke of the chamber as a place where the Empress laid bare her true self, unshielded by diplomacy or ceremonial attire. To enter was to surrender entirely. And yet, the whisper of my name drew me forward with the inevitability of gravity. The doors were vast, carved from a material I had never seen before, a fusion of crystalline metal and organic fiber that seemed almost alive. As I placed my hands upon the surface, it pulsed beneath my touch. A whisper of energy snaked through me, resonating in a way that made my heart pound and my mind reel. Then, with a sound like 1,000 tiny bells, the doors opened. She was there, waiting. Elisara's form was breathtaking, as if sculpted from the very essence of her planet. Her skin shimmered with a faint iridescence, reflecting the soft glow of the chamber's ambient light. Her eyes, impossibly large and luminous, regarded me with an intensity that made my limbs tremble. She did not move to greet me. Rather, she allowed me to approach, as though measuring my resolve. "You have come," she said, her voice like liquid silver, smooth and hypnotic. "And yet you do not understand what awaits you here." I am ready," I whispered, though my voice betrayed the nervousness coursing through me. She tilted her head, and a faint smile curved her lips. "Ready or curious?" "Both," I admitted. I could not lie to her. Not here, not ever. Her laughter was soft, like wind chimes caught in a gentle storm. "Then enter," she commanded. The chamber itself was alive. The walls shimmered with flowing patterns of light that seemed almost conscious, adjusting to our presence. The air smelled of something primal and intoxicating, honeyed spice mixed with a metallic tang of energy. At the center of the room was a pool of liquid that glowed faintly, suspended in midair by some unseen force. She moved toward it with an elegance that seemed both predatory and regal. "Look into it," she instructed. "See yourself as I see you." I hesitated, then bent over the pool. The surface rippled like liquid glass, and I saw not only my reflection but fragments of my past, my fears, my desires, all laid bare. And then, impossibly, I saw her. Not the Empress clothed in ceremonial regalia, but Elisara as she truly was, raw, immortal, magnificent. My breath caught. "You are unworthy," I murmured, the words almost involuntarily. "You are not thinking as humans do," she corrected softly. "In my eyes, you are worthy because you chose to come despite knowing what might await you. You chose curiosity over fear. That makes you rare." Her words ignited something within me, a mixture of awe, fear, and a desire so intense it was almost painful. She stepped closer, and I could feel the energy radiating from her, wrapping around me like invisible chains. I realized then that entering this chamber had already bound me to her, in ways both physical and spiritual. Elisara extended a hand, and I took it, the contact sending shivers down my spine. Her touch was not warm, not cold, but alive, thrumming with power that made my heart ache. "You must understand," she whispered, leaning close so her breath brushed against my ear. "Tonight, there is no going back. What begins here will define both our fates." The hours that followed were surreal. Time seemed suspended within the chamber. Minutes stretched into eternities. And yet each instant was infinitely rich with sensation. She spoke little, yet every glance, every subtle movement carried meaning. I learned to read her intentions not through words, but through the rhythm of her presence. The way the chamber pulsed with her emotions, the way her eyes flared when I hesitated, the way her lips curved in faint amusement when I dared to assert myself. She guided me through trials that tested not my physical strength, but my understanding of connection, empathy, and surrender. The chamber revealed visions of other worlds, of civilizations risen and fallen, of choices and consequences. It was both a test and a gift, forcing me to confront my own nature while simultaneously binding me ever closer to her. And then came the moment when she finally spoke of the forbidden. "You may take from me what no other has," she said, her voice low, resonant with authority. "But know this, it is not merely flesh you will touch. You will touch the essence of a race, the heartbeat of a galaxy. To take it is to accept responsibility for all that comes after." I nodded, understanding. I could not turn away, even if I wanted to. She was a force beyond comprehension, yet somehow she had chosen me. That choice alone made me hers in ways more absolute than any ceremony or bond known to humanity. When our connection reached its apex, the chamber itself seemed to respond. The suspended pool of liquid light rose, encircling us in a halo of ethereal brilliance. The walls vibrated with energy, and I felt the pulse of Elisar's power intertwining with mine. We were bound, human and Empress, separate yet inseparable, and in that union I glimpsed the infinite, possibilities stretching across galaxies, lives intertwined, futures reshaped. When the chamber finally stilled, I found myself kneeling before her. Elisara looked down at me, her expression unreadable, yet I felt no fear. Only awe, gratitude, and an unshakable sense of belonging. "You have seen," she said softly, "and you have chosen. That choice marks you forever." "I am yours," I whispered, and the words felt both terrifying and inevitable. She inclined her head, a faint smile brushing her lips. "And I am yours, in ways you will come to understand." The chamber doors opened, and the palace beyond felt both familiar and alien. I had returned to the world I knew, yet everything had changed. I was no longer merely a human envoy or navigator. I was something new, a bridge between species, a keeper of secrets, and the chosen companion of an immortal empress. As we stepped out together, the first light of Cyrillus IX's twin suns bathed the palace in gold. Her hand remained in mine, warm with power, and I understood that the true journey had only just begun. The galaxy lay before us, vast and unpredictable, but I would follow her anywhere, because tonight Elisara had whispered my name. Tonight I had entered her forbidden chamber, and tonight I had surrendered, willingly and completely, to a destiny that belonged to no one but us. The stars themselves seemed to shift, aligning to the rhythm of our connection. And as we walked together into the corridors of the palace, I realized that in choosing her, I had become more than human. I had become part of a story that would echo across worlds. I did not know what the future held. Perhaps danger, perhaps triumph, perhaps a quiet eternity. But I knew one thing with unshakable certainty. The moment Elisara whispered my name, everything changed, and I would never turn back.